Is it your dream to have your very own dietitian private practice? Well, why wait? Why not start now? I'm Libby Rothschild, founder of Dietitian Boss. In today's video, I'm going to break down the pros and cons of clinical dietitian versus private practice dietitian. Stay tuned. Let's jump right into the benefits of starting your own dietitian private practice. Number one is flexibility. Our clients love living a flexible life. So that means you can set your own work hours. Some of you might want to work from 10 a.m. to 3, or others are early risers and they want to do 7 a.m. to 11. So the beauty of your private practice and owning one is that you get to create your own hours. Me personally, I like working out in the afternoon. Now, I used to like mornings, but for whatever reason, I've switched to an afternoon person. And that means I take breaks, take a 3-hour break and work out when I feel like. And that's because I'm my own boss and I set my own schedule. And being able to do that and work within the patterns and rhythms that I desire feels really empowering because I get to do what I want. This leads to the con of being a clinical dietitian. There is not as much flexibility in a dietitian job when you're working at a hospital. Most likely you're working a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 4, or if you're union, it could be 8 to 4:30 or something like that. And then you have to request time off, whether it is a personal day, a vacation, or a conference, and there's often a lot of red tape. So you have to submit a request, you have to get it signed, you have to wait for it back, you have to file it for good, safekeeping, and then you might get approved. And then if it's a vacation, quite often in many hospitals, you have to take your vacation based on seniority, or you get to take your vacation based on seniority. So if somebody else has asked for the same day, maybe you're rotating, other dietitians get Christmas off one year and then you get Christmas off in 5 years from now. Whatever the circumstance is at your clinical job is really dependent on the staffing and the structure that they have set in place. And so there's a lot less flexibility for you to be able to set your own hours, take vacations, and live your best life. So I know when I was in clinical, I had some perks. I was actually able to do the late shift, and I ended up getting another job and working in the morning because I was so broke in clinical that I couldn't afford rent because they paid so low. And well, that's why I started my private practice, but they did allow me to work an evening shift. So there was some flexibility. But keep in mind, how much flexibility do you really want? Because I want the ultimate flexibility and freedom, and that's being able to work out midday. And when I have kids, I want to be able to set my own schedule for children as well. And a lot of our clients who are moms love being able to set their own schedule as a mom and live their best lives. And you can do that too when you decide to work in private practice. Clinical, even if you get a flexible-ish job, like one of my past jobs that let me work the night shift or the later shift instead of the morning shift, there's flexibility baked within a corporate structure, so it's still not going to be as flexible as it would if you were working your own business. The number 2 pro of your own business, which should have been number 1, but I made it number 2, is that there's no upper limit on how much money you can make. So in clinical, there's typically a ceiling, right? And that's if you work in the government structure, that it's based on years experience. If you have some kind of more credentials or certifications, or you become a certified diabetes educator, have your master's degree, you might be able to get a pay bump by a certain dollar amount. But there's still an upper limit. And one of the highest paying jobs in clinical is management, but there aren't that many clinical manager positions available. And that being said, I believe it tops out at maybe 90, 100,000. And I didn't make that up. I got that from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Compensation Guide. So these are actually data, hard figures that are published from the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. So knowing that clinical isn't going to pay you that well, or you're going to get up to 90,000 and then get a cap, and remember you're working within a corporate structure, so even though there might be some flexibility, it's not going to be the same as what you would want on your own business. That ceiling of income that you can make, to me, is not okay. For the amount of education that we have and the amount of impact we can make as dietitians, there's so much opportunity with starting your own business. Now, when I worked in a clinical job, I made $55,000 a year living in Manhattan, which obviously wasn't enough. So I ended up working extra jobs, and that led me to my current business and bringing that full time, which is a great story. But I will say that if you compare clinical to private practice when it comes to salary, you can't even compare. In private practice, you can work part-time hours and make quadruple clinical salary.
Are making more money than you did as a full-time dietitian in 5 days, and now I'm making that money in 3 days. And I get to wake up every day. I get to get my boys ready for the day. I get to work from home. There's so many amazing things involved that every day I just wake up so grateful doing what I love to do and working with the exact woman that I want to work with.
So, and that's made possible through various things. You can speak, you can coach, you can run online programs, you can run memberships, courses, affiliate marketing, brand sponsorships. There's numerous ways as a dietitian you can make money, and more money per hour, and you can serve more people if you just have the ability to get online and market yourself. That's what you need to do, is learn how to market yourself so you can make that money. So the opportunities are really endless in private practice. And I do want to say that I myself didn't even know what was possible. And it makes sense because there's so few dietitians, actually 6%, according to the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics Compensation Survey Guide, that own their own business. So it is new for us dietitians to think what's possible. And that's why a big part of our brand representation is showing you what's possible, interviewing our clients to share their stories, spotlighting them on Instagram, sharing them here on YouTube, talking about them in our email marketing so that you're more clear that it is possible. And that you too can do it, because those before you and currently are. It's going to take a minute for you to really get it, which is why I am committed to posting videos regularly, because the mission of our company is to disrupt the field of dietetics and create more private practice operators, because we want that 6% to move up, right? 6% of dietitians that own a business isn't enough for how many people in America, consumers, want health outcomes, right? And we can really provide those solutions, especially if we're offering scalable products and services such as online programming, group programming, memberships, courses, etc., because then we can reach more people. So in private practice, you can make a tremendous amount of money working less hours by getting out there and marketing yourself versus clinical. And that alone is enough encouragement for you to want to start your own thing. And you can decide if you want it to be six figures, if you want to make $500,000 a year, $1 million a year like our business, or more. You have that decision, and you can decide how you want it to look. You can decide if you want a big team, a small team, if you want to be heavily a part of service delivery, meaning you're providing most of the coaching, or if you want to hire coaches under you like many of our clients, or if you decide that you don't want to coach, you want to offer a membership, and in that membership you want to really focus on offering content and not as much service. So you get to choose that, and if that feels overwhelming, we help you pick that, and you can also change your mind. You can offer coaching, and then later you can go to a membership, and many of our clients have done that. And you can check out this story here from Ryan Kipping and how her membership blew up, and she's been able to exceed her goals by leveraging the power of social media as a dietitian. She's a really interesting and inspiring dietitian boss to watch. A common con of starting your own private practice is the loneliness. Because only 6% of dietitians start their business, there aren't as many dietitians that have developed the mindset to be six-figure earners, to understand what entrepreneurship means. And that's a really common concern that I hear and I see it. And that's a big reason why our community and our programming is so beneficial, because you're placed with that 6%. Those dietitians who want to make a difference, who've started their business, who are either making money or on their way to making money, depending on what program, because we have several options for those of you that are starting, and then for those of you who are scaling, so you're already getting regular clients, to be among your colleagues. And when you are among colleagues who are on the same path, it is going to inspire you to have that accountability and to see it's possible.
I have focused on prioritizing what is important versus what is just busy work. So yeah, you know that I love your method, obviously, or I wouldn't be here. And so, yeah, it's been great so far. I'm really excited for society, and it's just been a complete game changer. I've made over $17,000 since starting your program in June. And that was with like a month where I lost someone close to me, and it was just a very rough month, but still made like 3 or 4 grand that month. And so it's been really good. It's been really good. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing.
So number one, watch our content, because we publish content on social every single day, from Instagram, every week on YouTube, every week on our podcast. We send emails every week. So make sure to stay on top of what we're doing on social, because we will inspire you with stories. And then make sure to find and connect with dietitians who are on that path towards making money or have already achieved that. And that's going to really help you bake in a stronger mindset. Finding entrepreneurs and business people who have achieved the goal you're looking for or are on the same direction is absolutely one of the best uses of your time. Hiring a coach can accelerate that, and don't neglect the peer relationships and the significance of developing those connections with people who are on the same road. So I've said it before and I'll say it a million times. If you hang out with broke dietitians, you're more likely to stay broke. So you want to find people who are not necessarily comfy in a clinical job making $55,000 a year like me. You want to find, like I was, right, when I worked in clinical, you want to find people who are thinking bigger, and that's going to help you get to the next level. And that's what I did. And that's a big reason as to how I was able to break free and start my own business and now help you do the same. Another con of starting your own business is that quite often you wear a lot of hats. And this is typically true, especially at first. So what that means is you might be doing bookkeeping, you might also be doing some management, some admin, some service delivery, customer service, and it can be overwhelming to have to take on so many responsibilities, and we all have unique personalities. So some of us are going to be really good at some things and really fall short on other areas, which is normal. And so that can cause frustration, and that's why hiring help is so important. And then that's another skill as well. So you have to learn how to hire, how to manage when someone isn't a fit, when somebody is a great fit and you want to give them more responsibility in the company. And then more important than that, you want to know the direction your company's going so that you can really create a strategy to support that growth plan. And that's a big part of what we help you do here at Dietitian Boss when you join our program. So knowing that wearing a lot of hats is part of being an entrepreneur and there's more responsibility and challenge than working in a clinical position, I do want to warn you, if that doesn't sound like something you're interested in and you're not up for a challenge, entrepreneurship might not be for you. If you're the type of person that looks at the world and sees that there are no problems and you don't like to be stimulated and you love clocking in and clocking out and having the minimum amount of work to do and you like being status quo, entrepreneurship might not fit your personality. Entrepreneurship is possible as a profession. It's absolutely possible to learn and grow, and you will, but you do want to have personality traits that enjoy being challenged. So if that sounds too overwhelming for you, entrepreneurship might not be a fit. And what that does mean is you could be the type of person that works for a private practice, and you might do really well working under an entrepreneur, and you might do really well seeing patients or clients, maybe not in clinical, but for a private practice, because a lot of our clients hire amazing dietitians to see their clients, and oftentimes those dietitians that are working under them don't want to be entrepreneurs because they don't like the challenge that comes with entrepreneurship, and that's understandable. It is not for everybody. I do believe entrepreneurship is something you can learn, and I also do believe there are some innate personality traits that just don't work with entrepreneurship, and I've shared them. If you see the world as not having any problems, if you love status quo and you don't like to be challenged, more likely than not, entrepreneurship will not work for you. So the best type of personality that fits or can grow into an entrepreneur is someone who likes to be challenged, somebody who's willing to take some level of risks, and someone who sees opportunities in the world and is able to seize them. And again, listen to our podcast interview because we've had several of our clients share their stories and they talk about these themes, and you'll hear dietitian clients of ours, dietitian bosses, seeking opportunities, accepting challenges, finding struggles, and then achieving and overcoming them. And so if that feels like scary, but also something you want to undergo, then entrepreneurship is definitely a path that you can enjoy in private practice. Now, if lack of benefits being an entrepreneur and working in private practice is something that you're scared about, I'm not going to go too into depth in this video, but comment below and maybe I'll make another video if there's interest and we can talk about that topic specifically and what that means for you. Now, after I outweighed the pros and cons of clinical dietitian versus entrepreneurship and private practice, it seemed pretty obvious to me that entrepreneurship was the way to go. My ultimate breaking point, though, when I decided to go into private practice full time, might come as a surprise to you. It wasn't necessarily the money I was able to make, and I make a lot of money. And when I was working in clinical, I was making over 20 grand a month pretty consistently before I quit my job. I had some fears, so I understand when you have fears too. And I did quit my clinical job, but it wasn't the money I was able to make actually. It was when the SWAT team came to the hospital and my life was at risk. And that's when I decided that I had to leave the hospital. So there was a shooting just a couple flights up from where I was working in my office, and one of the doctors was killed and several injured in my hospital. And having the SWAT team come and escort us out of the building and knowing that there was a death a couple flights up made me feel like I was done. I was obviously traumatized, as were many people that were there that day in the hospital, the families that lost their loved ones. It's a terrible experience. And that to me was the sign that my safety was being compromised and I had to go do my own thing. So even though I was on my path and I was going to be quitting anyway, that to me was a sign. So of course, if you experience any level of danger or safety or suicidal ideation, definitely call and get support from somebody and make sure that you're going to therapy and looking for appropriate solutions. For me, I knew that there was no way I could be in an environment that I felt I was risking my life. And that really helped me come to the decision that I wanted to be my own boss. And that is what motivated me to take that final stance and say, I'm going independent. I'm going 100% alone. It's scary, but I'm still going to go 1 foot forward. And I had no idea at the time that my business within a year would grow to $1 million. I had no idea I would have a team of 7 people that work in 3 different countries, all women, helping you. And we've served over 1,000 dietitians through our products and services and transformed several people's lives from working in clinical to being able to quit and replace their salary and become 6-figure earner. Or those that just really want to do it on the side. They don't want to create 6 figures, but they want to start their practice and they want to see what's possible and get their toes wet. Being able to create Dietitian Boss and create the Dietitian Boss proprietary system to help dietitians start and grow their business by becoming visible and niching down, creating a content strategy based on my framework, and then creating an online program and enrolling in said program. Those 4 steps as a part of my proprietary system have been able to help you start your business so that you can escape clinical, become your own boss, live a life of flexibility and financial independence without having a limit of how much money you can make and without having to work more than 20 or 30 hours a week. Because when you work for yourself, you're your own boss. You call your own shots and you get to live life the way that you want. And truly nothing feels more exciting or empowering than that. There's been nothing more rewarding than being my own boss and starting this business and stepping into being a dietitian boss. If you want to learn what a day in the life looks like for me, I want you to check out this video and we'll see you next time.